Good afternoon, growers. It's Sunday, July 4th, and it is a beautiful, hot and sunny summer day here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina. And today I'm going to teach you all how to remove cold damage from fig trees. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to receive new video notifications, and check out our Amazon storefront and spread shop in the video description for a list of the gardening products I use and awesome custom designed apparel and other gear. Your support is greatly appreciated. For those of you who have been following my channel for a while, you know that I am growing my fig trees in espalier form. An espalier is nothing more than a fancy way of saying that you're training your trees to grow along a guide of some sort. So that could be some type of cable, that could be some type of stake. In my case, it is a cable that is pulled horizontally across the ground. And I have this to grow cordons on my fig trees, and the cordons are simply nothing more than the horizontal main branches that are the scaffold branches of the tree. Now the problem I have is that I have a lot of winter dieback on my cordons, so I now have to cut off the winter dieback and I have to re-establish the cordons. And that's because we had a very late hard freeze back on April 3rd. Now, here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina, we usually get our last frost at some point in mid to late March, and our last hard freeze in the beginning of March. So because a hard freeze came in about 3 to 4 weeks late, most of my trees were already starting to show a lot of growth. So because they broke dormancy, the hard freeze decimated my trees and caused a lot of damage. When fig trees are in dormancy, they're actually pretty tolerant to hard freezes. However, once they wake up, all bets are off. And that goes for all types of fruit trees for the most part. Even cold hardy fruit trees like peaches and plums and apples, which can normally take severe deep freezes below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, when they wake up out of dormancy, they become basically tender plants. And that goes for fig trees as well. So that's why they sustained such heavy cold damage in a hard freeze here in April. While this video will be focusing specifically on fig trees, you can apply these techniques to any tree out there that you are espaliering. And you really need two things to do this. You need a utensil to remove the dead wood that was killed off by the winter damage. Now, you may want to use a pruner. I recommend not using a pruner because the wood that was killed off by winter damage tends to be very spongy. So when you use a pruner, it tends not to make clean cuts and it crushes them. So I recommend a very fine-tooth pruning saw. For me, I like to use a Japanese saw because they cut very precisely. And I have this saw linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description if you want it. It is an amazing product. Now you'll also need something to tie your branches down with, and I recommend this expandable vinyl tape because when you tie your branches down to the support system, you need something that will give and stretch. Otherwise, it will constrict the branches. So this vinyl tape is very stretchy. It's also very inexpensive. So again, this is also linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. So let's get to pruning and tying. Now you may be thinking to yourself, why are you waiting so long to remove the cold damage from your trees? Well, there's a very good reason for that, and that is sometimes it takes months to find out if the wood is actually dead. I've seen numerous times people cut wood off the tree that isn't actually dead. So when you give it a few months for the wood to actually decay, you can be sure that it is not actually alive. So we're going to use this tree right in front of me, which is my Cordon Blanc tree. I'll show you the dead wood, how to remove it, and how to re-establish new cordons. Now I'll try to give you the best camera angle I possibly can here. This right here was my old cordon, and it is pretty much completely dead. There is maybe just a small amount of sap flow in here. That's why I'm getting this one little green leaf here. So it's not entirely dead perhaps, but it's dead enough that I don't want anything to do with this cordon anymore. So this whole cordon here has to be completely removed. It's totally crisp. You hear that? That is not something that you want. Now here you can see the cordon that is mostly dead. However, if you trace this cordon all the way back to the trunk of the tree, you'll see that this new branch is coming out of that cordon. So right away you may be thinking, hey, let's just cut this cordon off right here and then we'll let this new branch take over. but I don't want that because this new branch is really wispy and spindly. I would rather pull this giant branch down that has a caliper of close to 1 inch already and establish this as my new cordon because it's already beginning to lignify. Here you can see what I'm talking about. This is all of the dead wood. This is the new branch that is coming out of the old cordon. I don't want to let this little wimpy branch be my new branch. I want to pull this big guy down right here and let this take over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to remove the vinyl tape that is holding the branch to my trellis support system. And then I'm going to use the fine tooth edge of the saw and I'm going to cut the cordon on an angle. And then that is going to remove this cordon. I'm going to cut off the other supports. And then I'm going to remove this cordon from the tree. So now the cordon has been removed, and like I said before, it may be tempting to simply pull this branch down right here, but it's too spindly and weak and it will not make a good cordon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this hang off to the side, and come January when my trees get dormant, I'm going to just remove this and just get rid of it entirely. Now in the meantime, I'm going to pull down this big hefty branch right here because it is very strong and I love the way it looks. It's also loaded with fruit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish this as the new cordon for this tree, and I'm going to tie it down to the support wire using my vinyl tape. Now when you tie the branch to the trellis support, you want to make sure that you're fairly generous with your length of vinyl tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the vinyl tape, I'm going to wrap it around the branch and leave equal length but long ends here. And then I'm also going to wrap each end around the steel cable. And then once each end is wrapped around the steel cable, I'm going to push the branch down and I'm going to pull it tight, and then I'm just going to simply double knot it to the cable, just like that. And I'm going to do this in multiple places, probably in 2 more different places along this branch. That way it is fully secured to the cable, and try not to break any figs off like I just did. And here you can see what the new cordon looks like tied down to the stainless steel support cable. I have it tied down in 3 different locations. Here's the 3rd location right there. And you don't have to tie this down extremely tightly to the support cable. These are not like tomato vines where the cable is actually supporting the weight of the tree. This green wood here will turn into fully lignified hardwood growth, which defies gravity. In a couple of months, all of the wood will look just like the wood here on the trunk. It will be very cold resistant and very strong. So all you're doing is you're using this cable system to just provide structure for the tree. It's not holding the weight of the tree like it is a cucumber or tomato vine. So the cable system does not need to be very strong, and you don't need to tie it down very firmly. You just want to get that basic shape. Now this side right here isn't nearly as cut and dry, and I'll show you why. This right here is the main cordon from last year that has died back. So it is completely dead up to right here. All of that wood has to be completely removed because nothing is coming out of it. Now the problem is I don't have any good close cordons that I can reestablish as the new cordon. I could take this little wispy spindly side growth right here, but I think that's too weak to do it. I could also pick up this branch right here from the bottom and establish this as the new cordon, but I think again this one right here is too wispy and spindly. Then there are the branches that are way out here, but I think these are too close to the front, and I'm going to eventually remove the nub that is down here that they're growing off of. So I really think that these are out. I think my best shot right here is this branch that's right here. It's probably the largest. And again, when pruning for espalier, there's not really any right or wrong answer. You have to just do what feels comfortable and best to you. The good news is if you make a mistake with fig trees grow about 6 to 8 feet in one single season. So if you don't like the work that you did, you will be able to reestablish new cordons the next season. So I think I'm just going to cut right here, and I'm going to remove the entire branch, and you have to be very gentle here. And one thing I forgot to mention, always make your cuts on an angle. That way they won't collect water. You want the water to rush off with an angled cut. And being slow and gentle is everything here, so you do not damage the new cordon that you're going to establish. And now we are going to establish this as the new cordon. So we're going to pull this down along our support cable. And once again, we're going to wrap the expandable vinyl tape right around the new branch. We're going to pull that down along the support cable and wrap both ends of the vinyl tape around the support cable. Make sure that each end is roughly equidistant, and we're going to just tie a double knot and lock that branch into place. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. And the same thing over here on the tip of the new branch. And now you can see the new cordon that I just established here on the left side of the fig tree. And here is the new cordon that was just established on the right side of the fig tree. Now here's what I'm going to do for the next step. I need this wood right here to get as thick and lignified, meaning turn into as thick brown hardwood as possible before I get my my frosts come November. Because the thicker and more lignified the wood is, the better they're going to stand up to cold temperatures. So I'm going to pinch the tips off here because I want this wood right here to stop growing. If I don't pinch the tips off, it's just going to keep growing out that way. It's going to put all of its energy into vertical growth, well, in this case horizontal growth, and I don't want that. I want the growth to stop, and I just want to focus on these cordons thickening up and lignifying. We're going to do the same thing over here. This is the end of our new cordon that we just placed, so we're going to take this growth tip right here, and we're simply going to snap that off. And with this growth tip removed, that should help redirect the energy of this cordon right here. Instead of growing longer, it'll start getting thicker, and that is exactly what we want. And then this is the dead wood and some of the living side shoots that we just removed off the tree. And this is the new form of our fig tree. We can see right away it is it's more spread out, and it's going to get more light now, which is actually going to help the figs ripen even more quickly because the center has basically been made wide open. Now let's show you my Cordon Noir tree and what to do when you have no good options. So here is the cordon of my Cordon Noir tree. It's completely dead up to this point right here, and all it has right here is this little spindly piece of growth. So if I move in here, you can see up against the trunk, this is where the cordon is alive and vibrant, and it's sending these two really nice big branches right here that would each make decent cordons for me. The problem here is this would make the best cordon right here, but I can't bend it in this far. It'll snap right off, so that really good one is out. So all I can use is this spindly looking one right here, or this one right here, which is another spindly one. So these two branches right here are my only option. I can't use this really nice thick piece right here. So again, my only two options are this small branch right here or this small branch right here to reestablish as my new cordon. Now the good news is I can cut this old dead cordon off right here, and I can then bend both of these and find out which one would be the better pick. So let's start off by removing this. And now that I have each branch side by side right here, it's plain to see that this one is the better choice for the cordon. This one up here is just, it's too off center. It's really just in the way. So we're going to move this off to the side. In addition, this one is ever so slightly thicker. So this is going to become our new cordon, unfortunately, because it's really the only option that we have right here. So I'm going to take the vinyl tape, just like in the other instances. I'm going to wrap it around, pull it tight, and then use the tape to hold the branch in place. and then we're going to tie it down in 2 to 3 other locations as well. So now we're on the other side of the Cordon Noir fig, and the wood is alive right up until this point. Then after this, all of this wood up to this tip right here is dead. So we have to remove everything at least up to there. However, again, this is not the greatest cordon right here. I would rather take this as the new cordon because it is just a monster branch and it's already starting to lignify and turn into brown hardwood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this branch off right here because I don't want to sacrifice this beautiful branch, which will be good fruiting wood, but I'm going to move this out of the way, this old cordon, and I'm going to tie down this new branch, and I'll show you how to do that. So first we're going to cut off the dead wood. We're going to remove the old tape, break off this little piece that's in the way, and we're going to establish this as the new cordon. Then we're going to work on pulling the rest of the branch in, and because this branch is so far offset, it's probably going to require more ties than the other branches that you've seen me tie to date. And as luck would have it, when trying to tie down my new cordon, the old cordon was so badly desiccated it pretty much snapped right off. So I lost that other fruiting branch, but that's not a problem because this tree is just huge. So I decided to nip it in the bud and just cut the whole thing off in a nice clean cut, which you can see there. And then I have the cordon tied down. And the problem is this cordon is so huge that it is far beyond my end stake, my little U-post there, and it's growing into the other tree. Now remember, the end goal here is to get this new cordon to lignify and thicken up as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off this green wood. And it's going to bleed a lot of sap, but that is okay. That will heal up by tomorrow. And now that is going to help this new cordon lignify. And that really is all there is to it. Now I have these 2 fig trees right behind me, all nice and cleaned up. You can already tell that their form is better. Look how much more open each of these fig trees are. Now I just have to do the same thing to my other 4 fig trees, and all of them will be taken care of, and new cordons will be established and ready to go into the next dormant season. Now, one thing that's very important to note is that this is not an exact science. I'm just making this up as I go along. I'm an amateur gardener. This is my 2nd year espaliering these fig trees, so you don't have to be an expert to do this. You just have to be judicious, try to make the best decisions you can, and make cuts that make sense. And just remember, if you do make a mistake, these things grow 6 to 8 feet every single year, so they will grow back quickly, and you'll be able to reestablish new cordons if you don't like what you did this season. Now that my new low cordons have been established, stay tuned because very soon I will be running an additional cable higher up because I'm going to be establishing upper cordons because I'm going to have 2 cordons, both a low cordon and a high cordon for my fig trees to double the fruit production in later seasons. So make sure to stay tuned for that. So everybody, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, please make sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for future updates and more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in my garden, they're all linked in the video description down below in my Amazon storefront. So check out my Amazon storefront for an awesome list of varieties. If you're interested in any channel related merchandise, check out my spread shop, also linked down low in the video description. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video. Just to show you all how good Dale is, I have my favorite thing in his hand, which is cheese. He is so excited at the prospect of cheese, and he is just food crazy. However, Dale is a very good listener. Now, Dale, wait. 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 Okay. Good boy, Dale. That was very good. Very good. See if we'll do it again. Wait. 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 Good boy. Okay. Excellent, Dale. Such a good boy. You make your dad proud.